All right, we are recording. So this last chapter of The Empire Strikes Back is very short, like 2 pages. Um, and believe it or not, I still have notes. Um, yeah, it's a very short chapter. One thing a little interesting is it does seem to suggest that Luke is aware of Han and Leia's relationship, even though he would not have been witness to basically any of the development that took place during The Empire Strikes Back. He was not witness. He was not there for any of it. Um, So, and there's nothing indicating that she told him. Okay. Um, and that's kind of what a lot of the notes are. Is that there's a lot of things just not told. Um, it does. The way it puts it, and the reason why I'm assuming this is it says that he understands what she's feeling now, the loss of Han not being there, even though we've never had it shown in any way that Luke has a love interest besides her. I think we don't need to consider that to have ever been serious. Um, but so we don't necessarily have that, but it might be a reference to um his family being killed or Kenobi being killed. Who obviously his family would be very important to him. Kenobi, they also at least talk up, was very important to him. I'm not sure how much I actually want to agree with that, but because I mean he wasn't even a week. Come on, but it still is. I think we can take from that at least a recognition by him of their love for each other, which even if you're like, okay, well, it might just be the love of a friend, I think he would have still had the inkling, the sense that there was potentially there was potential for more between them, a romantic love than just a friendly love. So yeah, I think we can take it that way, but um, so yeah, a couple of a couple things that are kind of worthy of rants. One is it says that Luke knows he must return to Yoda to complete his training before going to rescue Han. Um, Lando and Chewie just left to do that. Well, at least to find him. So is Luke just gonna stay in contact and be like, guys, hey, hold on, I'm still training with Yoda. I'm still training. Don't do it yet. Don't just, let me do this. How long is it gonna be? I don't know. I mean, weeks, months. If you say years, Luke, I'm turning this thing off. Goodbye. And just, I mean, it is a problem, isn't it? I mean, it's like, I won't go rescue him until I'm ready for it. Dude, I was rescued like a year ago. Where were you? I was training. Why didn't you help? I was training. I needed to finish training before I came and helped you. Well, we didn't need you, so how important is that training? Well, you're not going to be going up against Vader, are you? We're not talking about going against Vader. We're talking about rescuing me. Am I not that? I mean, seriously, this is a problem. Um, and it's kind of a main character syndrome issue. And this extends not just this extends beyond Luke, I should say. Uh, because it's like, okay, they're now on this rebel cruiser. He's in the medical bay and all that. Where did this ship come from? Because Hoth, it's only transports that were leaving that. We have no knowledge of any other ships. But he's suddenly with the rebel fleet that includes this thing that I'm pretty sure it does describe as being very large. The transports weren't necessarily described that way, and we're described as transports, not cruisers. Like an Imperial Star Destroyer is a cruiser. Okay, so this thing should be large and powerful. Where did it come from? Because this is also a major problem with the whole, why was Hoth the base? A ship that can move makes a hell of a lot more sense. Because you can move it to somewhere that there aren't any planets. So why would anyone look for you there? I mean, it's... And it is also, as I said before, the rebellion, especially for how it seems to be described here, should be very distributed. So the idea of having all of them together, well, at least all these very important people, such that the Empire attacking is like, oh no, this is a calamity, this is a calamity. You shouldn't have them all together like that. Like, you should be avoiding that specifically. But there's also no talking about how the rebels are doing. Because, like, was this a rendezvous point? I mean, presumably it is. why have they been sitting there waiting for days and days? I'm just like, yeah, I get it. Well, we don't have Commander Skywalker, we don't have Princess Leia, and we don't have that smuggler, Han, who is not a rebel, but been hanging around helping us, so he's honorary. Or Chewie. So we don't have them. How long do we keep waiting? Until they get here. What if they're dead? End of the week? I mean, it's like... And then there's the whole, how long has it actually been? Because Luke's training should have been taking days, but then on the Falcon it seemed like only hours. I got no idea. But there is no update on the Rebels. Whoa, what the heck? I have no idea why the camera just did that. But it is just... This is a problem. And it is also a problem in the movies. But at least in the movies, you do pull back and you see the fleet. It's not what was at Hoth. It's not what left Hoth. So you still have the problem of where did these ships come from? But at least you are seeing something there. Giving it a little bit more meaning, a little bit more significance to the state of the Rebels at the moment. But yeah, it is kind of the main character syndrome, where it's like, we should be given this information, but at the same time, this isn't really the right time, because it is, the whole Luke is getting his hand, Leia's come over, R2 and 3PO are there as well, and the Falcon with Lando and Chewie are flying off, because they're off on their adventure now. So it's Luke and Leia are at rest, so you can't really fill in what else has been happening. I understand that, but you could potentially still make the chapter longer, have it end like this. Like, him just being, them getting there and seeing the state of the fleet, state of the Rebels, transmissions coming in, telling Leia this is what the situation is, and also being like, oh, you're here, we feared the worst, and great, you have Luke with you, well, Commander Skywalker with you, excellent, we need you all, we were so worried. You could be doing that, and then it's like, Luke is injured, which ship can take us to start taking care of him? It's like, oh, this one, go over there, we will meet you there. It's like, you could do that, have the whole him being rushed there, the inspection of that, and even, the surgeon droid being like, don't worry, I got this. We've got spare mechanical hands. I made that point in the previous video. It's like, what? They seem really cheap. I mean, just, like, they just have them everywhere. So, yeah, we can totally cut off hands, replace them, you're all good. Anyhow, and then it ends basically like what you see in the movie, although not with the spiral nebulae, which I'm saying it that way because technically it looks like a galaxy, but let's just say it is some sort of like spiral nebulae, and it's actually spiral nebulae. Before we knew that they were separate galaxies, because for a long time we thought that the Milky Way galaxy was the extent of the universe, but we were seeing other galaxies in the universe in telescopes. We called them spiral nebulae because that's what they look like. Because a nebula, well, okay, that's not a nebula. That's a small Magellanic Cloud, so it is actually a dwarf galaxy, but it's dust that's glowing and stars, a bunch of them. And a spiral galaxy has a spiral shape to it, so it's like, okay, well, it looks like a nebula. I mean, it's like a lot of people wouldn't recognize that this isn't a nebula. So it's like, all right, it's got a spiral shape. Well, we'll call it a spiral nebula. It's like that's kind of what they're looking at. So that's another thing about the end of Empire Strikes Back. Did they go outside the galaxy and look, this some other object? In any case, in the book, it's actually just a giant red star. A little bit more sensible, although it does also say that they're looking out at the other stars. It's like, no, they're not. That thing is too bright. You will not see one of, unless you're looking the opposite way, which it doesn't describe them as doing. You're looking at that thing. The shutters are, or the windows are going to be so tinted, that's the only thing you're seeing. Just like the whole pictures from the moon of Earth. All you see is the Earth because the Earth is so bright compared to the stars around it, and that's only reflected light. That the other stars are gone. You have the exposure has to be adjusted to that. Looking at an actual star, you ain't seeing nothing else. Not happening. Anyway, let's talk about what I think about the Empire Strikes Back book overall. The story overall. I think the way I put it in one of the other parts is exactly how I put it here. yes, there are good moments. Like, if you look at the previous video, I really liked how that chapter went. I really, really did. I think a lot of it was done well. I think there are other things that are done well. Like in the Cave of Evil, that Vader has a blue lightsaber, not the red, which was already established in A New Hope. There was... The movie was before. I don't think color was ever mentioned in... Color of lightsabers was mentioned in the book. But the movie established it was red. So in this, it's blue. In the Cave of Evil, it's blue, which I think was foreshadowing because Luke brought with him his father's lightsaber, which is blue-colored. Vader's using a blue lightsaber, and you only... What's in the cave? Only what you bring with you. He brought his father's lightsaber. Well, now his father is using his lightsaber, which is blue. So I think that was foreshadowing. Very good writing there. But also a lot of it, like the Battle of Hoth, is dumb. Luke is stupid in so many instances. So much of it felt like a single thread that's like, that's what we're following, but it's a thread. Actually, I had a thread right there within arm's reach. It's like, okay, but this is weak. This is fragile, and this isn't good for how you want to tell a story. There can be moments where it is in a story where it is weak like this. And part of the reason it's weak is because... Let me try to... There can be multiple. So ignore that it's, all one string just tangled. But that there are multiple paths. And what's stopping you from taking a different path? That's the problem that I feel the book hugely suffers from. And as I think about it, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to, now that I finish the book. As I think on the movie, it's also really bad there, with this very little explanation for how you get, for why people are basically staying on the thread instead of taking a different decision going off that way, That is a major problem, and it does frustrate me greatly. And it's actually one thing that now... I know a lot of people say that Empire Strikes Back is the best of the original trilogy. Honestly, I have no opinion. I don't. They were so much a part of my childhood growing up that's just one of those... I can't say that I have a favorite, because they are Star Wars. Like, it's the whole thing is that. So it's the whole thing that I'm concerned with. So I can't say that Empire is better than A New Hope or better than Return of the Jedi or any of the other ways around. I can see certain things in them that I like more and less, but I can't say this is better than that. It would be like, this moment I like better than that moment in whatever, okay? But it is just reading the book and criticizing it, intentionally criticizing it, I'm seeing so many weaknesses. Threads. So, it being a thread. And I don't want to, but I could, in theory, just pull this and snap the thread. As opposed to it being, in the previous video, I had likened it to, it'd be better if it were a rope. So, like this, but, twisted together. So now it's a lot stronger. You're not going to break that. That's how a story should be. It should be robust, such that the character's motivations will clearly get you from one point to the next. There can be weak moments where it's down to just a single thread instead of the full rope, but it needs to do that so that it is consistent and it makes sense to follow it. But I feel like Empire, the book, the story fails to do that more often than not, and more often than it should, much more often than it should. And I feel like the movie is actually very much the same. And sometimes it's little things like, why did Luke not tell anyone he was going to Dagobah? He just went. So everyone would just think he's dead. This is really dumb. And it's like, fine, he's motivated to go to Dagobah because of the vision, which in the book is clear, more or less, he should be considering a hallucination. It's never addressed. That's one of the things. It's a thread, because it's just, we're just getting from here to here. It's like, you need to explain why. In the movie, at least, because it is so condensed, that's helpful, because now it's like you're not thinking, it's like, oh, well, he just had the vision. Technically, the vision was like the day prior. So you can go there, and it's also you're just accepting the whole, yes, that is Force Ghost Kenobi there, even though it's not, Force Ghost Kenobi is not explained well. It's not really set up. It just happens. And there was also the issue when he then appears on Dagobah. How I mentioned, Luke makes no references. He's there, fine. He's part of the conversation. We're just going with it. It's like, no way. Whoa, what? How, what? How? None of that. Which is kind of also a problem because you can kind of justify it as it's because he's gotten so skilled with the Force that now he can see Kenobi when he tries to manifest like that. But that's not... How then did he see Kenobi on Hoth before his training with Yoda had started? I think in the book it is actually just a voice, whereas in the movie you see it, but it's still, by seeing it, it helps tie it together, and also the whole, I think the way Kenobi spoke with him in A New Hope, in the movie, it made clear that yes, this is Kenobi talking to him. It is Force Ghost Kenobi. You're not seeing him, but you're hearing him. So I think that was better. But yeah, in this, it's like, how do you explain it? And it's, yeah. So I do kind of wonder for those people that do watch Empire Strikes Back and say that, yes, that's the best of the three. I would suggest, read the book. Be critical of it. And then tell me if you still think it's the best. Now, I'm talking about the story, to be fair. If you want to say it's the best because it's the most action-filled, it's the best action, something like that, that's different criteria. I'm talking about the story being told and the quality of its telling. That's what I'm referring to here. Because that's, in a book, that's how that works. You don't have special effects in there. You do in a movie. So it's like that that's different. But if that's what you love about it, good for you. I'm not going to argue with you on that. Because I have no way to disagree with you. As I said, I don't really have a favorite between them. Favorite moments, yes, but it's the whole thing is like one entity to my mind. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to mention, but nothing really coming to mind. I am looking forward to Return of the Jedi because, as I said in the previous video, like the immediately previous, I've been saying previous at times when I mean like 5 videos ago. I am looking forward to Return of the Jedi because things have been set up for Luke to be much more mature. And that could have very interesting implications. And also, as I was pointing out in the previous video, and I think 2 prior to that one, with the whole Luke had to, and this goes back to the whole thread thing, Luke had to fight Vader when he did and as he did, because it's the only way for Luke to gain this maturity, is to go against Vader and to be defeated by Vader. It's the only way. But it's not set up. This is why it's a thread. It's not really set up that it makes sense for him to go there. There's reasons why he shouldn't. And also the whole Kenobi and Yoda basically acting out of fear, telling him not to, instead of explaining why and cautioning him. So it's you got issues there. Because even when he gets there, he's going to be afraid. And he's also still going to be angry and hateful. You can still have all that, but Yoda and Kenobi cautioning him, not being like, no, it's a bad thing, but being you're not ready yet. You need to remember, he was a Jedi Knight. Decades ago. Before you were born, he was at the level of a Jedi Knight, and you are not there yet. You really think you're ready for this? No, you're not. I mean, it's like doing things like that. You could do that, but there are so many ways it could be better. So many ways that you could take the thread and make it. Let's see if I can do this effectively. Just for the demonstration. A row. I mean, look at the difference. Look at the difference. This. Much more robust than this. But it's not what they do. Not what they bother. So. But Return of the Jedi, because he should be more mature in it, it could be very interesting. To see the maturity. See his response to things. And yeah, I am looking forward to that. Hopefully, he does come across as mature, so his normal state is calm. Not necessarily calm using the Force, but calm as in he's not being riled up easily. But then, of course, you do have and it also, the maturity makes it possible for him to seek Vader's redemption, seek his father's redemption. So that makes sense. Um, but then it still is when Leia, his sister, who he does love, when she is threatened, him then having the outburst, because that does make him angry, because he must protect her, and your feelings betray you, and to feel that he's the one who failed to protect her even from just their knowledge, that without him saying anything, she's now exposed. She's now vulnerable because of him. I mean, it's like that. Seeing the description there could actually be very cool. And how it inflames him and such. It'll be very neat. Plus, you get the Emperor, who, remember, Vader needs to be up here, and for a lot of it, not Rebel scum, but for a lot of it, he was up here. The Emperor's got to be even higher, man. He's got to be even higher. So that's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, we get more Emperor than we got in this, and even more Emperor than what's in the movie. Especially if it is better setting up that the Emperor does also use the Force, does have the Force. Because that is something that not even in the movies is well set up prior to suddenly he's using it in the throne room to undo the shackles. So it will be interesting. Because that would also help explain why Vader is below him. That Vader sees that the Emperor... Well, true. It is also Vader... the Emperor has foreseen it. So the Emperor has some ability to see the future, it seems. So that does kind of imply the Force, but I still think it is a... It'll be neat, and I hope they do it, something that explains a gap between them. Why Vader needs Luke to defeat the Emperor. As opposed to just being a Vader doesn't want to do it alone. Which is reasonable. Which is very reasonable. Plus, in theory, if you let Vader be really, really evil and will try to stop soon, it could even be he sets it up so Luke kills the Emperor, and then that way Vader can play either side. This would be very intelligent, because that way, if it is the Empire doesn't fall, but wants to kill Luke now, Vader can lead that side against Luke. But on the other hand, if with the Emperor's death, the Empire is crumbling and Luke is able to take over, now Vader can team up with his son. We did this together and go forward. So you could do something like that. Obviously, that's not how the story does end. We know that, but it still is that would help explain why Vader feels he needs Luke to defeat the Emperor, as opposed to just doing it himself. Yeah, because I mean, that is technically a plot hole if you don't explain that the Emperor is more powerful than the Emperor, and maybe the book will do it. I hope it does. All right, that should be enough. I will see you with Return of the Jedi, which will probably be in next week's videos. I don't think I'll mix them. Plus, it gives me time to do other things like write. I need to write my own stories, not just read others. All right, and don't forget, after doing this, I do intend to do the prequel trilogy. Still gotta think what I will do after that. But yeah, this is fun. I as much as I do criticize negatively, The Empire Strikes Back and also The New Hope, but really, Empire Strikes Back has so many reasons for criticism. I am really enjoying doing this. I really, really and truly am, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. So I have seen nobody's watching these videos, but that's okay. I'm having fun. I do this because I have fun. See you next time.